Welcome to All Things in the Name of Love. If you like this show, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks. Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. Today I have with me Dr. Julie Hutsell Starling. And when I first saw her picture, I was like, I need to connect with this beautiful soul. Among other things, and the thing that grabbed me in the first place is a spiritual burnout coach, but that's because she has a background in acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. You're a healthcare coach. You do Akashic records, Kundalini yoga teacher, and a Qigong teacher, and all of the things. I love that journey of picking up the different tools in the toolbox to help people with their burnout, because I have had adrenal fatigue. I've all the things. So I want to start there and talk about how you got on that journey of self-discovery for your spiritual burnout, and how you're helping others.
Yeah, so it was a journey and it was like, you know, um, when I first got out of practice, I was just so gung-ho and so excited to be uh, helping patients and being out there in the world. And I was working really hard to build my business. I was working, when I first left school, I moved back up to San Francisco and I had like 5 jobs. I had three kind of private gigs going on, and then I had two paying jobs just to make ends meet, right?
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
was just busting my tail off to just make, just to make it. And so after a while, I realized after a couple of years, I was like, you know what, this is crazy making. I just, things were finally starting to take off, and I was like, wait, but do I even want to be here? And so I actually realized I wanted to leave California and leave San Francisco. And so I launched a national job search. Long story short, I ended up in North Carolina, in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, because I wanted to have a job working as an employee so I could just get experience treating patients
Mm-hmm.
and really fine tune my craft. So that's what I did. I uprooted, moved to North Carolina, didn't know anyone, and started working as an acupuncturist employee at this clinic.
Okay.
And within a pretty short while, I had built up a very significant practice. I had a lot of patients. And so I was super grateful to like, yay, that's exactly what I wanted. It was like working out great.
Mm-hmm.
But I was working a lot. And I was, at first I didn't mind because again, I wanted it. But over time, the patterning started to wear me out. So when I first realized that I think I'm burnt out, I really thought it was from working too much, which
Mm-hmm.
is what most people think is what causes the burnout, right? So I changed up my schedule and got better, much better about not squeezing people in, like having better boundaries, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of in general with my patients and all of that. And that helped for a little bit. And then it came back. And so then I was like, okay, so what else is going on? So there were two things that were going on at that time in my life. One, I was in a really, really, really horrific relationship, like terrible toxic relationship, which definitely was burning my adrenals
Mm-hmm.
severely.
Mm-hmm.
So couple that with already the patterns that I had at work with everything, with trying to prove myself and work really hard,
Yep.
definitely I was experiencing adrenal fatigue. And
Mm-hmm.
so then I started treating that. I learned more about that and realized, oh, that's probably what's going on. And so then I went kind of the functional nutrition, functional medicine route to heal the adrenal fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And I started meditating because I wasn't sleeping. I had horrible insomnia, and like 3 days would go by and I wouldn't sleep. And then
Oh,
anyway, it was at its worst, it was really bad.
yeah.
Um, So anyway, so I treated that, and over time, I did all the things. I started implementing a really strict meditation routine, and I was exercising, but only the things that felt good to me, and eating really well, which I already did, but I was eating better, and I
Mm-hmm.
was taking adrenal, taking all the things, doing all the things, and it was still there. And so then, so it's not like my levels, like things got better on
Mm-hmm.
paper, but why? But I was still lacking the inspiration, lacking the joy, lacking like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I quit the job and started out on my own, and that worked really well at first. And then the burnout came back again. So, and by then I was in a healthy, great relationship, and like things had really changed. So what I realized over time was that the burnout was coming from me, from abandoning myself, basically,
Mm-hmm.
by not really honoring me. And but I was doing that in a way, like basically, as you read, I have all of these different tools that I've wanted to find over the years to help people, right? But they've all been tools that I've used to help myself as well. And long story short, I basically was denying myself um, the right to use those tools in my practice
Oh, wow.
because I felt like I had to fit into a box,
Mm-hmm.
the box labeled acupuncturist that I believed it was,
Mm-hmm.
based off of the modeling that all of my peers did and all of that. Like that's how I thought I had to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by abandoning myself because I didn't actually allow myself to be who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
That was the root of the burnout.
Yeah.
When I started learning the Akashic records and when I understand what my soul gifts were, when I really understood them and I saw how they came through in my practice and with my patients, and I realized, oh well, that's why I'm so burnt out because because I was was giving a lot because so the two main things for me, the takeaways of my gifts are one, I love giving practical tools for people because and I love to empower people to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really I want people to heal themselves
Yeah.
and know that they have that ability. And so I do everything possible to remind them of that and to give them practical, tangible tools.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that most people, when they would come in to see me for acupuncture just by itself, um, most people didn't, they just wanted to feel better. And
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that, but they wanted me to fix them because acupuncture is an amazing modality to help people feel instantly better.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It's a magical medicine. It
I
really is,
know. I know. I
right?
miss it.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But and I loved, to do that for people. I loved like having someone come in with horrible back pain, could barely walk, and they left like, "Wow, I feel so much better."
Mm-hmm.
That was, I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that I didn't love was when I would have people who every week would come in and say, tell me all the mess that they were in this week, and then okay,
Right.
just fix me, and then they would leave and they'd be like, oh, so much better. And then the next week we would have the same conversation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
same thing over, and it was like Groundhog
Right.
Day like every week with these beautiful. I loved them,
Yeah.
but it was draining me
Right.
to no end because I was putting out so much to them
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't actually taking it in.
Right.
So the other tool or the other gift that's really for me that was that I understood that Akashic Records helped me understand is that I really needed to have 100% energy reciprocation.
Mm-hmm.
That's for my particular soul. That was like very important, and I wasn't getting that from my patients.
Yeah.
Um, right? Because I was
Yeah.
putting out so much, and they were just like, cool, thank you so much. I feel amazing. Okay, bye, see you later. And yes, they were paying me, but clearly wasn't receiving enough back in order to
Right.
really feel like it was worth my energy.
Hmm.
Right, because of course money is an energy exchange, right?
Right.
So that, and so that's something that over time I've had to also learn, that no, it's really important that you charge what feels like an adequate amount for the energy that you're putting out there. And there needs to be, again, that exchange, right?
Right.
And it's an energy exchange
Hmm.
basically. So uh anyway, so understanding the soul gist and seeing it on the daily, like, oh, I see why I'm so burnt out,
Yeah.
um, was really helpful for me. And then I, so I still felt a little bit trapped, like I didn't really know how to change it, right? Because these people were, like I treating the way I would, like this was my bread and butter. Like I did coaching, I did all this other stuff, and I really wanted to expand and do all of that too. But I just felt that I felt trapped because I
Mm.
didn't, people knew me. I had a great reputation in the area before what I did. I got, it was word of mouth. I didn't know advertising, just word of mouth.
Hmm.
And it was my bread and butter. So it
Yeah.
was hard to step away and change
Hmm.
it. COVID ended up being the perfect gift for me to do that, because it was the first time that I chose to close down for 6 weeks. And when I came back, and so in that 6 week time period, I realized, oh wow, I could be doing so much more. Like I really can do this. I really can expand. And I started doing these other things. And
Hmm.
so anyway, so that was the first glimmer of possibility that came
Uh-huh.
in for me. And then after that, uh, the power of manifestation, the power of belief. I let's see, I think it was trying to remember, it was like December of, maybe it was, yeah, December. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the dates, but basically like December 2020, I believe it was. I really wanted to, like, I wanted 6 months from that. I put out there, I was like, I really just want to just be coaching and doing the Akashic records and doing other stuff. I don't want to be doing acupuncture anymore at all. And then I just kind of put it out there, and then I left it because my husband was like, no, we can't do that. And like real life was whatever. But I had put it out there, and I
Hmm.
really, that was what I really wanted.
Hmm.
And in February, I got this random phone call from a person who was interested in buying our office building. And which we had just bought in 2018, and blood, sweat, and tears renovating it and done all this stuff. Um, and then we opened in February of 2019, and then COVID hit a year
Oh,
later. And right, so it was really stressful.
yeah.
We were very fortunate, people were paying us rent still and stuff, but nonetheless it was stressful.
Yeah.
And so i I had just on a whim one day reached out to the realtor who helped us buy it, just to see, like, hey, just kind of toying away with the idea of maybe putting the place on the market, not shareable. And this was in, like, I don't know, December, actually
Hmm.
December when I put it that.
Okay.
Anyway, and then but she was out, and she said, well, I'm not available, but here's some other people that you can reach out to help you, and market's good, whatever. And so whatever, I did nothing. I sat on it. I didn't do anything. But this guy told me in February, yeah, I talked to my realtor, and she said you might be open to selling. She didn't know, but she just thought I should reach out because it's exactly what I'm looking for. And
Wow.
so anyway, it just all kind of happened. And
Hmm.
so we ended up selling the place, and we closed on June 3rd of 2021, which is exactly 6 months from the time when I said I wanted to be.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then, which is why I'm telling you that story. So
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it was powerful. So then, all that long story short, I freed us up to be able to live wherever we wanted to, because my husband was already working remotely. He had been remote for years
Okay.
before all the COVID stuff happened. So we moved out to the coast of North Carolina, and it's been
Nice.
magical out here. And since moving, I've recreated myself. So now my practice is everything combined. I do sound healing, I do medical qigong, I do acupuncture, and I have like this tiny little space, and it's like perfect. I don't have a whole I see just a few people a week, but I'm teaching Kundalini yoga, I'm leading these embodiment workshops. It's just been this really magical unfolding that's happened since I finally allowed myself to just be me. And
Yeah.
of course, no signs of burnout anywhere, nervous system completely rewired and good and all of that. So the work I do with people when dealing with burnout is, okay, well, let's see what's really going on here, because
Yeah.
it's not just because you're overworking. It's not just
Right.
because you're torn in a million places. It is, yes, but why?
Right.
Why is that happening to begin with?
That's fascinating. I remember I think it was April. Um, After years of ignoring it, I got the intuitive guidance, hey, you've got adrenal fatigue. And I wasn't really, I was moving a lot, and moving is very, very stressful for me. Messes up my parasympathetic nerve and like it just so so I was guided to start eating beef, and I had been plant-based for over 10 years. And I remember walking into a local supermarket, and it was like locally owned, so it was like not a chain thing. And I walk up to the meat counter, I'm just staring like, and the woman looks at me, she's like, "Can I help you?" I'm like, yeah. She's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, I haven't had this in over 10 years, and I'm trying to remember what I used to eat, but like I'm also kind of scared because like I don't know how my body's going to respond to this. And So I ended up getting like two small little filet mignons, and I had one. My body just celebrated. I was like, "Oh wow, this is really interesting," because I thought I was eating healthy, and I was for the time that I was eating, and so like that this has been a really fascinating journey because again I've moved a lot since then. Um, but in the process of having that extra piece, the functional medicine part, I found that grounding myself and being more present is what my soul yearns for. And every time I like look past today, um, my non-spiritual team says, "What do you need now? What do you need in this moment?" I'm like, right. Do I need anything other than what I have in this moment? And it's no. So my coping mechanism was projecting in the future because of my family. I beautiful parents. I love my parents. Mom had trauma she never looked at. Dad had trauma he never looked at. So it came out in their inner communication and in codependency. So I was like the one holding the family up. And so that exhausted me. So as I have been on this journey of somatic healing and whatnot, I've learned to notice that the story of just leave me alone, which was the story that I've told myself all alone, I have control over that. And that gives me so much more peace. And while I still have a little bit of it, it brings me more into presence. And anytime I get out of presence, I can feel that, okay, you're getting stressed again. So that's been fascinating for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love what you said about the food guidance as well, because uh, you know, every body is different
Hmm.
and we all need different things and maybe at different times of our lives too. But I was plant-based along that journey at some point for about a year and a half, and I was sicker than I'd ever been.
Mm,
So I know for me, 100% plant-based does not work for me. I've done it before and I need a little bit of the grounding. Food is very important.
yeah.
We talked about like intuitive eating and really connecting in with your body. That's so, so, so important because that's a part of learning to honor yourself.
Hmm. It really is because I mean, as much as I love plants,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
eh,
nothing wrong with being plant-based. If it works for you, that's
right.
amazing, but it doesn't work for everyone. And it's
Mhm.
okay to allow yourself to, again, break out of that identity, to allow
Right.
yourself to heal and allow yourself to be true to
Yeah,
you,
because
like
like
to what's really what your body needs, right?
right. Right, because like when we place ourselves in those little boxes, and we perceive that we have to be this way, the stress it creates on our bodies is just insane.
Yeah. And, I mean, people are today more than ever, they're wearing so many labels. We're boxed into so many different pieces. We're so far removed from who we really are
Yeah.
by all of those little boxes. Right.
Hmm.
And so, uh, understanding that, oh, well, maybe this box isn't working for me anymore and letting it go and allowing
Hmm.
yourself to be open to trying something based off of just what you're feeling, that intuitive guidance. Oh, so powerful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so needed because I mean, if we look at the external stimulations that are going on, I'm doing like big view of what's happening in the world. There's chaos right now. And if you want to pay attention to that, you're just going to create stress. So it's really like, okay, if there's a reason why I'm looking outside of myself right now, there's something that I don't want to look at. So, and if
Right.
I get triggered by that outside thing, that's something that I have to look at within me. And it's such a practice of that awareness and stepping into what do I need in the moment. And that sounds selfish, but if we don't take care of ourselves, how are we taking care of anyone else?
That's right. And that's the biggest misnomer that's out there, is that taking care of yourself is selfish.
Hmm.
I mean, that is one of the biggest spiritual trickeries that has happened,
Hmm.
you know? Yeah, because we must heal ourselves and be connected to ourselves, because when we're connected to ourselves, we're connected to our divinity. When
Hmm.
we're connected to ourselves, we're connected to the mother, to the father, of the divine, right? And our intuition. But when we are always looking outside of ourselves, then we never hear that guidance. We're never able to receive it.
Hmm. I
And
completely.
that's why I think people stay so focused on the external, and why we've been trained to be focused on the external, because um, the chaos, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, it only can exist when we are separated from ourselves, can
Hmm.
only exist from that, with separation.
Yeah. I feel that so much. I've a couple months ago we had an ice storm and we were stuck in the house for a couple days. I'm in rural Oregon and we come out and we go to a local store and the frenetic energy was so intense and I do spiritual protection. I didn't realize I needed to up it. I got lost in the store and I know the store and I was just like, wow. Okay, so what do I need to do for myself to not feel that energy? Because like when that's another point that's coming in is like our energetic boundaries and self-care in that realm, because we're not taught that at all. Like how do we care for ourselves energetically so we don't get taken out by the nephew that's like needy and codependent or the cat that's got anxiety, but we can be compassionate and help, but not at the expense of ourselves.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that is such a powerful knowing, first of all, that that's happening to you. And then knowing, because I mean, I went for years and years without realizing
Me
that was
too.
happening
Me
to
too.
me. I had no idea. And there's so many others out there. So, I mean, we hone in on like people that we call empaths, and but the thing is that we're all empathic. We
Hmm.
all have that sensitivity, and
Yeah.
we just have no idea that we have it.
Right.
And so we're picking up on things that we just think, oh, I have a headache, oh, I have this migraine, oh, my shoulders are tense, oh, my stomach really hurts, and yeah, it wasn't until, honestly, like, it's crazy to say given all that I do, but I really didn't understand the impact it was having on me until really within the last year and a half, how much I was noticing. And I'm still noticing.
Yeah.
Wow, all this time I had no idea.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Like I did back in 2019, I did this research project and I was up at the Oregon Historical Society and I would walk in and I was in like energy. I was fine. I walk in within 5 minutes. I'm yawning so much. I could barely look at I'm like, I need a coffee. I can't do this research. And I talked to my mentor at the time, and she's like, oh, no, no, no. When you're walking in, you're hearing and feeling, and they're feeling you, all of the energy of the objects, because objects take on the energy of the people that they lived with. And so I'm this light and I have awareness, and they're like, I'm like, what the heck? And so I was guided to create a couple essential oil sprays to help me to spray on before I went in and when I came out to clear my energy. And when I started doing that, I was able to actually go in and do the research for the day. And it was like, this is insane because nobody talks about that.
I know, right? It is. It's really crazy. And that's the thing about this, the chaos and the frenetic energy that is being permeated, well, not permeated, but like perpetuated throughout the world. I mean, it's infectious
Yeah.
and by design, right? And so if you're not aware of how that energy can impact you and know that, well, that's the collective consciousness energy, that's not mine. That's not
Mhm.
my fear. That's collective consciousness. Then it's so easy to get caught up into it,
Oh, yeah.
right? And that's really our role right now, is to stay present in ourselves, just like you were saying, and stay in our light,
Hmm.
stay in love, right? And not get caught up in anxiety, in fear, in anger, in division, in separation.
Right. Because
And
it's
it's like there's those of us who are kind of at the forefront of doing that for people. And, it's like we have to be steadfast in that, but it's challenging enough for those of us who are doing the healing work now and doing it for ourselves, right? But let
yeah.
alone for people who have no idea. And that's why it's like so important that we hold that light for people.
Hmm. I completely agree. Like I've this past week, the Schumann resonance has been spiking. And 3 nights this week, actually 2 nights this week, it was Schumann. One night it was because I used a different laundry detergent and my whole skin organ just went, and then I had Schumann resonance on top of it. And I'm like, okay, so we need to like really, really do self-care, because if I don't have decent sleep, I'm useless. I can't even do interviews because and you can tell, an active listener. And I don't have that skill if I'm not well rested. And since this is the focal point of my life right now, I need to really make sure that I'm in my highest state so I can be present.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a practice. And I know the things that I need to do to be in my highest state as well. And that's for me, it's doing my yoga, the Kundalini yoga practice, doing meditation, it's, doing grounding exercises, anything to just, bring myself back and be present.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I need to do. Yeah. Mhm.
So how do you help your clients with this? Like what is a typical, like when they come to you, where are they? Is there any typicalness about that?
Um, I would say that most people are completely unaware of any of that. The people who come to me initially, yeah. And that's not true for everyone, but I'd say probably 90% of my people are um, not super aware of their energy field at all.
Okay. That
And
makes sense.
so, yeah, I mean, and I think that that's normal for most people. They
Mhm.
don't really know. Um, and so, yeah, uh, a big part of the work that I do is just helping them understand, one, who they are, what their needs are,
Mhm.
versus the other. It's like there's so much in entwinement. That's not a word.
Entanglement?
They're so entwined with
Yeah.
entanglement. There's so much entanglement with our loved ones, with the friend, with like, it's very difficult to separate
Hmm.
truly, to know, well, who am I? What do I really need? What's really true for me, as opposed to what's true for someone else, right?
Hmm.
And then issues of control and, like trying to make sure everything's fine, so
Right.
there's so many different layers that definitely our first conversation almost never, unless it's someone who's so clearly an empath, like, oh, honey, this is not you at all. Like we have a conversation, but like most of the time it starts on much more. I don't like the word superficial in this case because it's not to discount its importance, but it's
Right.
much more just like, no, there's like, there's many layers
Mm-hmm.
to finding yourself and to
Yeah.
actually being able to honor yourself, right? And so first thing most people need to do is just understand, oh, wait a second, wait, what's really true for me here,
Yeah.
right? And starting there because and helping people understand how to tap into their knowing and their guidance. That is um that's number one for me that
Yeah.
I work with people, is to just really help them understand what does alignment feel like? What does actually honoring yourself feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Because most people have no idea because
Yeah.
they're so always in the, misalignment of just doing things because they should be doing them, not because it's true for them, right?
Right.
That they have no idea how it can feel that, oh, it's possible that you can feel ease, you can feel flow, you can feel
Yeah.
creative and inspired and sparkly and joyful, right? Like they have no idea that it's even a possibility because it's
Yeah.
not a part of their reality at all.
Yeah.
So that's where I start off, is just helping them
Mm.
understand how they feel in their bodies in that moment.
I love that because it's so important to like start unwinding all of those programs.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what they are, the programs.
Yeah.
But most people are so far removed, so taught. And, I mean, I was there too, not that long ago. I
Me
mean, it's
too.
been,
Me too.
right. We've all been there because we're products of
The
our
Matrix.
society, the matrix. Yes, we're products of the matrix, the false
Yeah.
matrix, right? So it's like, yes, we have been wired with these programs from infanthood, basically,
Hmm.
right? Because our parents are products of the false matrix. So like
Right.
they taught us what they knew, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, right. So the healing journey of finding yourself and really reconnecting back with your soul is about unlearning all of that.
Hmm.
But it takes awareness and understanding of how it has been impacting you. And,
Yeah.
oh, well, this actually is an untruth. This isn't even real. This is, like, it's not even true. Most people don't even have no idea
Yeah.
until they start really uncovering it and realize, right?
Oh, I'm still
Me
uncovering too.
too.
Yeah.
There's still things where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
It's like,
I
that's still there? Okay.
right. I thought I dealt with that for a long time ago. No, she's back. Oh yeah. Okay.
Just a deeper level.
That's right. That's right.
So I want to tie that into the Akashic records because, like, yes, there's first the programs, but then there's like that whole other layer of like that, the Akashic records. And how does that come in? Like, as you're unwinding, as you're helping people unwind themselves, how, like, I've had Akashic records, I'm fascinated by it. And like, how does that weave into how you help your clients?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways you can use the Akashic records, and I use one specific modality. That's what I learned, which is called soul realignment, which
Mm,
is really about understanding your soul level gifts. So the gifts that that the divine incepted you at the second of your inception, basically, these gifts you were endowed with. And so when you understand those gifts, you understand what all the positive attributes are, and then also understand how, when you're out of alignment with them, it can create these sorts of situations.
mhm.
That already is very just like revealing for people, just, oh,
Yeah.
I see. Right. But then I look at the past life karmic patterns that have contributed in this lifetime to bringing you further out of alignment.
Mm,
So it's all about, and this is where the programming, the patterning comes in. So on top of all of the societal things that we're born into, because then we also create these negative karmic patterns in our present lives,
Hmm.
but looking at how the past life patterns are still running today in you. So it all kind of weaves in together with the unwinding process, right?
Mm.
So some of my people that I work with who do in-person healing work with me, they haven't all had the readings done, the Akashic records work with me done. But nonetheless, there's so much unraveling that I can do with them.
Right.
Um, but my favorite, my ideal is when I have do a reading for someone. I understand who they are at soul level. I can connect to them at that level. And then also really we see it through this other lens of, oh, no, this is so much bigger. Hold on, let's like really undo it. So I guess what I should say is like it's not a prerequisite for people to work with me in order to like they don't have to have the reading done. Like we can do plenty of healing work, but
Hmm.
when those people who do choose to do the reading and then do the healing work with me on top of that, it's just like, oh, so powerful. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's many layers of unfolding, basically of rewiring and all of that. And so the
Mhm.
Akashic records are very powerful for really helping you understand on that really deep level of why. It answers a lot of whys.
Yeah. I haven't had that method done. I've had specific lives getting revisited, which has been really fascinating too, because it's like, okay, this happened in this particular space, and this is what happened. I actually got to see myself in one of my past lifetimes being being a healer in Paris using herbs and other techniques I learned, and it was banned in Paris when I was there, and I got set up and caught and burned at the stake. And the person that burned me was somebody I know in this lifetime. And
Oh yeah.
so when we revisited it, I had taken herbs to keep me from feeling it and then knock me out before the fire got to me. But the entire time I was like standing in my divine feminine power, looking at him, watching me, like being defiant. And after that happened, our entire dynamic changed. It was really, really fascinating because then he started getting scared of me. And I was like, interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's like, because I mean, we're all old souls. And some of us remember parts of it. And, my calling is to completely dissolve the illusion of separation within myself. And so whenever I come across a different modality that's like, ooh, that I'm a modality junkie because because I love finding out more of the deeper part of who I am.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just so much fun to explore. And I know that's a drive for you.
Yeah. No, the definitely. And um there's like I noticed an interesting shift in me because I used to be driven to explore because I was driven out of the not enoughness
Mhm.
that I didn't know, I would never know, and but that was a deficiency and that was scarcity,
Mhm, mhm.
and that was a big cause of the burnout too.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of healers in particular, but a lot of people in general, they feel like they need to have that next degree. They need to have that next certification. They need to have this. They need to have that in order to validate themselves
Mhm.
and validate the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's been a fine line because yes, I have natural curiosity. And yes, like I said, everything that I use with my people today is stuff that I've actually used on myself, right? So um, because I am hands-on like that. Like I have to experience it myself
Hmm.
first, right? So I am always drawn to new things for myself to reach, like how is that, but over time I've really had to kind of rein it in the sense of being very discerning about what I'm choosing to actually like learn as a modality
Hmm.
versus just doing.
Yeah. No, I
Do
get
you know
that.
what
I
I
get
mean?
that. I know exactly what mine was. Mine turned into obsessive compulsion. And so, I mean, PhD, like in history. Um, it was like this dig, because it was like innate. Oh, this is really cool. I like this. To must find the information. And so what I do now, because I work in consciousness, which I love, my left brain wants to understand what it is. So I'm like, here, left brain, here's some quantum physics. Go understand entanglement and the whole thing. Go play. And so that keeps that part of me curious without obsessing, because the other part of me is like, I already know it, but it's just the validation of it. And so I've been able to blend that, because I mean, I my last year of grad school, I gained 100 pounds because
Wow.
my
Yeah.
body was like,
So
you don't want to do this. I'm like, I'm not paying those student loans without the PhD. And that was my mantra. I was actually like, I am not paying those student loans back until I get this done. And my poor body was like, this is so bad. And so yeah, I know where that is. Like I know that level of like discipline becoming cruel. And I know the obsessive compulsion toning that back way back down. Now it's like, okay, if I'm curious, I'm actually going to ask my heart before I dive into the thing. And then I only need to do a little bit. It's not like I don't need to know the whole picture. I just need to know what the curiosity is. And then I stop, and it's so much nicer.
much nicer, right?
I used to forget where I parked my car. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't pee. I would just deny my body everything anytime I did a research project, because I went into that obsessive mode. It was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. It's so unhealthy. And that's how so many people are. It's like we're trained to do that, be in that state, right? Completely removed from our bodies. And again, driven, there's this underlying like this scarcity, this like thing that's driving us. Oh, I have to prove myself. Oh, this one is going to be like the best yet because of blah, blah, blah. Just
Right, right,
these things that we tell ourselves we don't even know that we're telling ourselves that. It's totally
right,
subconscious. It's totally in the unconscious realm, right? But
right.
yeah, it's so, I mean, I love that you shared that because I mean, we've all done that. We've all been there to some degrees or other, right? And
Mm.
in different cases, but we've all completely left our bodies and completely just like
Yeah,
disregarded every sign it was giving us for, I'm hungry, I need to pee, I'm thirsty,
I know.
please don't feed me this food, please feed me this instead.
Hmm.
I mean, what wakes us up? Oh, we get really sick,
Yeah,
or we fall and we hurt ourselves, or our bodies are always messaging us, and whether we are choosing to listen to it or not is the question, but
yeah.
ultimately it will always get our attention in one way or another.
I prefer to pay attention to it.
Right? Yeah. That's the lesson we learn after how many years of
Yeah,
not, right?
I know. It's like, hey, hey, I want this now, or no. I mean, if I notice, because I'm a foodie,
Me
love
too.
food.
Me too.
Not all of it's healthy. So if I notice the tendency to go for the thing I want versus what the healthiest thing is, I've gotten to the point where I actually stop myself and I ask my body to show me if it's a yes or a no.
Yes. Me
Be-
too. I do the same thing.
because it's like, but I want the thing. And it's like last night, I love sourdough bread, love making sourdough bread. My body last night was like, get you're done for a long time. I'm like, it's sourdough
No.
bread. And it's like, yeah. And you notice how you felt last night. You noticed that, right? Yeah. Well, that was a sourdough bread. Sourdough bread.
My God, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. I know it's this total battle, right? Between like our knowing, our body, and our brain that's like, no, but I want it. No, but do I need no, 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 you definitely do not need this, and it's I started I'm gonna give an example for me of like popcorn. So I really love popcorn with nutritional yeast on it.
Mhm.
That is like that's like a crack for me. Like I love it. And I can't, and it's because like I love nutritional yeast like that. It's so like I know it's so bad for me. Like it's not, I mean, it's supposedly a healthy food, but it is
It's
not good for
not.
me. Like eating yeast, like is
Yeah.
not, and that's why I crave it so much. Um, so anyway, so I was just like eating my popcorn totally unconsciously, like just like chowing on it.
Yeah.
And it hurt my tooth.
Oh,
And
wow.
this happened several times where I would chew on the popcorn and it would hit it in such a way because popcorn's like crunchy and it has
Yeah.
like the chewy parts and stuff. Like happened several times where um over the course of however long it was, I don't remember, but it happened enough times where finally I got the message of, you do this again, Julie, your tooth is gonna break. And so I haven't had popcorn since because I know 100% for a fact that that is what would happen if I were to eat the popcorn because I know it's not good for me. Like corn, even though it's organic, I know
It
it's not,
doesn't.
like,
Yeah.
yes, I still eat some like corn,
Yeah.
corn
Corn's
chips
a
or corn
tough one
tortillas.
because it's so tasty.
I know, but it's been so adulterated. Even the
I
organic
know.
is like it's at least in our country, it's so anyway, but it's the yeast that really was killing me. So but anyway, that's an example for me. It was like, oh, I just want it. But I was like, no, oh my teeth, no, I cannot. So our bodies are giving us these signs, just like you, like, oh, I feel terrible. Oh, sourdough bread.
I know. And I make it, which is like it's a joy I have. It's like one of the things I
Yeah.
love to do is make sourdough bread. Well, no, 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 bad. I mean, it's not that sourdough bread is innately bad, but when I eat it once or twice a day, that's not really the best thing for me. So until I get moderation, no sourdough bread.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the mind,
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like how
Truly.
like because when I first went plant-based and it was a whole long process. Um one day I had these gluten-free fish sticks from Whole Foods and they were like high vibrating and everything, but I let them like I was on a call and I didn't eat them. Like the timing was off. So I had like tepid fish sticks and I took one bite in my mouth. I was like, and I had the biggest temper tantrum. I had a 5-year-old temper tantrum. Like, I can't eat a thing. I'm giving up this. It was like that level of like, I am so pissed. And it was my ego. It was totally my ego. And I'm watching it on one level and I'm still in the middle of it. Like I'm watching the whole thing unfold as I'm in it. And I'm like, wow, there's nothing for me to eat now. Hmm. Yeah, because there's a whole like the whole plant world has just been open to you, and you're mad about a fish stick.
Which isn't even plant. I mean, it's not even like real food.
I
It's
know,
all processed.
I know, I know, but it was like,
Oh,
like
I know. Plus we also forget the part of like, well, I'm choosing this. I'm
mm,
choosing to limit my diet. I'm choosing to do this, right?
right.
Which is all your choice. Like
Hmm.
when we can own our choices and our responsibilities, then it eliminates all excuses for having
Right,
temper tantrums and all of
right,
that, right?
right.
But we forget that too. Of
Oh
course, our
yeah,
brain doesn't want to, our ego doesn't want us to go there because,
right.
oh,
Yeah, I know, I know. It was like, no, I know I'm having a tantrum. Okay, all right, you can have the tantrum. That's great. And it was such an interesting space because I've never experienced that kind of a tantrum as an
yeah,
adult. And it was like, huh, wow, because I could feel the ego death. And, since food is such, and it's like food is such an identifier of ego, it's akin to, yeah, okay, it's akin to like your voice in terms of this is an identifier of who I think I am. How you eat
Mm.
identifies to a degree who you think you are, and to like deconstruct that, ooh, is a thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about it like that before.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hmm.
But it's all unwinding the different layers of who we think we are to remember our divinity, and that's just the journey.
That's right. Lots of temper tantrums along the way. I
Mm,
don't want it.
can't make me.
No.
Julie, I have had so much fun talking to you. And I'm realizing that we're coming up at the end of the hour, so I'm going to ask you one final question and that is, excuse me, how can people find you?
Oh, so they can find me by going to my website, drjuliehutzelsstarling.com. I'm also on Instagram at Julie_Hartsong. And oh, I'm on TikTok too at Soul Jewel, Jewel, Soul
Awesome.
Jewel. Yeah.
Thank you so, so much for your time and sharing a little bit about your journey and all the gifts you offer in the world. And I'm so grateful to be on the planet at this time with you.
Oh, thank you, Sophia. It's been such an honor, and yeah, it was really a fun chat with you. And I look forward to staying connected and seeing
Hmm.
you again soon.
Thank you.